Welcome, everybody, to another episode of B&B Vancouver Canucks Hockey Talk. It's our special edition, all Vancouver Canucks talk, as we like to also support our local crowd. But again, we thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe us on Facebook or YouTube. And we're going to talk all thing Canucks. They just get back from a road trip, finished it last night in Detroit after the back-to-back on the weekend with the New York Rangers and New Jersey Devils. 3-1 on this road trip. It's funny, I told you I had a feeling, and that's what they ended up finishing. But what did you think of the road trip? And in a few words, who stood out for you?
Yeah. So it was pretty successful, and in New Jersey, if it wasn't for like some bad luck and a terrible power play in that game, we could have been at least gone like 7 points, 7 out of 8 points on this road trip. But Jacob Markstrom and Thatcher Demko, of course, the goaltending has been incredible. Markstrom, after coming off from that personal leave, still in his head, especially in that third period against the Rangers. And then, of course, in last night's game in Detroit, through the first two periods, including like a couple of excellent saves toward the end of the second period, they keep the Canucks in it when they were down 2-0 before they finally exploded in the third period with the Bo Horvat hat trick. And that's another guy that stood out. Bo Horvat came into the road trip with 0 goals. He left with 5 goals, leading the team now in goals. And Quinn Hughes, of course, another excellent set of games. They moved him on to power play 1. And once when we saw, starting with that Rangers game and last night in Detroit, things really started to get going. So those are the big guys that stood out to me: Horvat, Hughes, and Markstrom and Demko in net.
Power play 1 looks so much better with Quinn Hughes up at the top instead of Edler. He just seems to control it a lot better. Although they did make the one change, too, where they switched Pettersson and Besser to their off wings. And I find that very weird because now there's no opportunity for one-timer, and they're making it so that Quinn Hughes is the shooter.
Yeah.
It just seems weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. Like, I think short-term wise, like, it's a different look, but I still think overall it would be better to have Besser and Pettersson on their off wings for the one-timer options. But reading the Armies on the Athletic, they sort of broke down both of the power play goals, and there was actually like some nice rotation through all the players where like Miller is usually playing down low and Horvat the middle, but there was like a nice rotation where Pettersson moved to the half wall on his off wing, and then Miller ended up getting the puck, and then Horvat, realizing that, went to the net front, and then Pettersson moved into the slot, and then of course Miller sent it back to Hughes, and he got the point shot. And, of course, that led to the Horvat first power play goal there. So it is nice as long as, like, if they do start off with that setup, if there is some rotation, that throws the opposition's PK off a little bit because you're expecting one look and then all of a sudden everybody starts moving and all that. And I think that's a big thing of having Hughes on the point too, is that he's just not to be at the point. He's going to be moving all over the ice and all that. And that eventually that basically led to the Canucks both scoring both of their power play goals.
Let's talk about Quinn Hughes. First, he had the Hughes Bowl on Saturday morning against New Jersey. He faced his brother Jack, and of course, Jack Hughes scored the only goal of the game and kind of came out the winner. But in the last 3 games, Quinn Hughes, something stood out to me was a 4-on-4 at the beginning of the third period against those Devils. He absolutely broke the ankles of his brother Jack in a deke and went up the ice and almost scored. He had, against St. Louis in overtime, the first road game, he had a breakaway and some excellent moves. He's looked great at the top of the power play against both the Rangers and Detroit. And I remember the Ranger commenters saying after the first 2 power plays for the Canucks in that game, saying, this does not look like a struggling power play to us right now. He goes, they're moving it well, and they're taking advantage of it. And then last night, he had a breakaway again and just played so solid at offensively. He really stands out.
Yeah. It's just so incredible to watch because I think I forgot if it was in the third period where he was sort of going and then he did like this one spin move in the offensive zone and all of a sudden it was like another spin move and he tried to force like a cross ice pass or something in through, but it's just like he had the Detroit guys just skating in the circles or whatever, just what he can do with the puck, which is just so fun to watch. And I think what is he up now? He's up to a goal and 6 points in 9 games. And especially with there hasn't been exactly like a big, huge rookie that's been like lighting it up this year. Like I know Victor Olsen in Buffalo leads the way right now, but yeah, I believe he's tied with Hughes is tied with McCarr in points by a defenseman, or he's just right
I think
behind
the
him.
car might have 7 or 8 now, but
Yeah, but he's like right in that mix in the rookie scoring race. Which is nice to see because this will be like the third year in a row the Canucks have had an outstanding rookie. And then touching on Elias Pettersson, it's just like it's so weird that he's just like it doesn't look like he's been doing like much offensively, but then you look at the stats and he has 2 goals and 10 points in 9 games. So
yeah, he's still him and Miller are both averaging more than a point a game. But I'm always curious if next year might be a fourth year. The Canucks might have somebody in running because Podkolzin could come over after at the end of his KHL season this year and play out his first year of his entry-level contract if the Canucks can get him signed, which would be very interesting to see him adding to the mix. He might be the player, the winger that we've been hoping for Bo Horvat because they still seem to be struggling to find those wingers. Virtanen and Pearson started the game last night with him. Levo and Virtanen finished the game with him. They finally split Pearson and Horvat up. And you and I both agree Virtanen looks great with Bo Horvat. I don't know if it's because they're both good north-south skaters and they can feed off each other that way or what the deal is, but they looked good last night in the third period when they played with Levo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because especially with the way because Jake got thrown at line when they played against the Rangers, and I thought he played pretty well there. I still think there's still some chances where he can drive the net a little bit more with the puck, but overall, I really like that. I still think in the long term, the Canucks need to bring up Sven Baertschi to play with Horvat on a line eventually, but I really like that Jake's been given an opportunity to play with Horvat. And I sure hope that he gets a few more games at least to stick on that line. And so far defensively, he hasn't been bad as well. So that's the most important thing because as long as Jake's taking care of his own zone, he's going to get that ice time going forward. So, but yeah, so far they
pretty good hit on Mark Stahl in the Ranger game.
Oh man, he sent him flying, and then he drew a penalty right after that too. So it's really nice. So it's just that making sure in the offensive zone with Jake that he's driving the net a little bit more. But I've actually liked his playmaking too so far this season. He set up some nice scoring chances so far. And of course, like with him getting the game-winning goal last night, he was actually trying to set up Horvat for his goal. And I was actually happy Horvat was able to get the empty netter because I thought he got robbed of his hattie there. But luckily, everything worked out in the end.
Well, speaking of Pearson, on that, he was taken off of that line, but Pearson, along with Sutter, Beagle, and Mott, have looked really good on the PK. The Canucks, of course, I believe they're third right now in the penalty killing in the entire league. And it doesn't hurt that their faceoffs are fourth best in the entire league as well. Mm-hmm. What do you think's contributed to that? And I know you've got a stat on Markstrom, or not just Markstrom, but on Vancouver goalies for penalty kill.
Yeah. So an excellent article by Harmon Dial on The Athletic. If you're not subscribed,
by the way, does it include Edler's saves?
Oh man, Edler, as I still can't. Every time he stands in front of Markstrom and tries to make a save, and of course it led to a deflection off his stick, and it just it frustrates me so much. But yeah, just a shout out. If you aren't subscribed to that, like I know it's a paid sports subscription, but the stuff that the Athletic Vancouver's done, led by Harmon Dial, Thomas Drance, and Wyatt Arndt is if you have the time and the money to subscribe, it's really worth it. The big guy I love to follow is Harmon Dial, who's basically Jason Botcher's protege that he brought up last year. But he basically did like a 5 keys to success to the Canucks start to the season. And basically what he did show is the penalty kill. The big part actually has been the Canucks goaltending. Before heading into the Detroit game, the Canucks goaltending had a .957 save percentage, on the penalty kill. The league average right now is 8.61.
Yeah.
So we know that's in a balance out. Like that can't keep happening. But with the Canucks power play starting to heat up again with those changes, that's in an offset all that. And also the Canucks, I know they're 6-3, but he also brought up that the Canucks have had the easiest schedule in the league to start the season, because the only teams that have made the playoffs last year that they faced have been Calgary and St. Louis, and I know they got Washington coming up next game. So that's really helped, because especially heading into November, where they got a ton of road games that next month. It's nice to get a good start to the season when the competition isn't as tough. Those are the games that you got to win to start the season.
Well, I'm curious to see how they fare in the upcoming California road trip. That's always a tough one, going into LA, Anaheim, San Jose, to see where they're at. But those are teams they're ahead of LA and San Jose right now in the standings, and those are teams that they have to win against in order to maintain potential playoff push. They're 6-3 to start the season, and they've done that without the top line. They're producing, but they're not really standing out or playing like they have been. What's going to happen if those guys get going?
I know it's going to be scary good, because it's just like, I think Pettersson's been like a little frustrated of late. Like I know, like
Heck
in
of a
the
defensive play last night, though, with about 6 minutes left.
yeah, it's just like, well, he's had like a couple games. Yeah, so it's like before the Schaller goal, he had like that great defensive breakup, and then in the Rangers game before Besser scored, he had the nice pressure to force the turnover
Yeah.
to get it to Besser. But yeah, he's an underrated two-way guy. Because like we noticed last year, because like when everybody was just like all about, it's like, oh, he's all about offense, he's scoring all his points. Like if you really break down his game, he's really good in his own zone. Though I think another stat that I saw is that I think he hasn't taken like any defensive zone face-offs so far this season. Basically, everything's been like Horvat, Sutter, and Beagle so far this season. So that's something I'll keep an eye on moving forward, because that actually hasn't been something that I've actually checked.
And I noticed Miller takes a lot of draws too when they're out there together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's something just to keep an eye on, because like I know younger players, they aren't exactly great in the face-off draw or earlier in their career, so that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, it's just like he's over a point a game, and yet it's just like once when they get going, especially once when the power play, like once when because his shot's still a little bit off. He's still getting those looks, but he's still missing the net by a little bit, because I think Prep is in the second period. He had a nice look coming down the left wing, and he had a little bit room glove side on Howard, and he just missed the net. And like last year and stuff, like he was like just picking those corners and stuff like that. So, but he's taking care of his own zone still when he's on the ice, and he's producing the offense. But yeah, it's just one of those nice things. Like it's nice when a player doesn't exactly stand out, and then you look at the score sheet, it's like, oh, okay, he got a couple assists last night. It's nice.
The nice thing too is they've had incredible goaltending. We can't say that enough. Both Demko and Markstrom played fantastic on this road trip, and they've been playing fantastic all year. But there's 6 defensemen. Only 3 of them returned from last year, and no one named Delzato, Pouliot, or Goodbranson. What can you say? I mean, I've really been impressed with Tyler Myers' play. I think Jordy Ben's done a heck of a good job, and just the group itself has done an outstanding job with the way they've played, and no one's been hurt yet. But I've noticed, because no one's hurt, they all get to play their particular role. So nobody's. I mean, Edler's ice time's a little high, obviously, but we'd probably like to see that a little bit lower. But the way they're playing right now, why break a good thing, right?
Yeah. It's just excellent to have consistency every single game, because it's just like last year, like Tanev went down, Edler went down, and then it was just like, okay, now we gotta start. Now we're moving weaker defensemen up the lineup because we didn't have the depth to replace any of that. But yeah, Edler and Myers have been great on that top pairing. Myers has been way better than what I thought he was going to do. Like I thought offensively he was going to be all right. Defensively, going into all the advanced stats that people have shown in all the articles, I was a little bit concerned on that front. But so far so good. They've been pretty good. Yeah, but yeah, you brought up like the Edler ice time. He's averaging just under 25 minutes a night so far. But I think with Hughes getting the power play 1, time now. I think that'll at least progress this a little bit. He'll still be up in the higher 20s, but that should average out a little bit better there. And Tanev's really had a rejuvenated start. Last year wasn't the greatest year for him with all the injuries, but he wasn't exactly his normal self in the defensive zone and all that. So having him and Hughes paired together, I think that's really rejuvenated him. I'm still that big, huge Troy Stecher fan. I still think he should be getting more ice time because he's only getting a little over 13 minutes a night. And he's not getting any time on the special teams as well. But him and Jordy Ben, I thought had been all right on that bottom pairing in limited minutes. And Ben got his first 2 points as a Canuck last game as well with 2 assists, which was good to see. But yeah, it's just nice to just seeing nobody go down with injury. It's just like as long as nobody gets hurt and they're playing the way they are so far to start the season, I'm really happy. But it'll be some tough tests coming up because that like with Washington next game, they're on an absolute roll right now. Offensively, especially with their star defenseman John Carlson leading the NHL with 20 points in 11 games, still mind scratching. But yeah, it's just great just to see nobody get hurt so far to start the season.
Are we potentially going to see some fireworks that night between Ferland and Tom Wilson?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, as long as Ferland's ice time gets more, if he gets more than 7 minutes, which he got against the Rangers, and I think he got a little bit more ice time against Detroit, but that's still something that I'm scratching my head about because I think he's been playing all right of late now that he's been getting his footing. But man, eventually they got to figure out what his role on the team's going to be because
I think he was leading the team in hits, so he is still throwing his body around, but I noticed he doesn't play a lot in the third, if at all, and most of that might be due to foot speed or conditioning because he's still trying to get back into shape more or less after his viral infection or whatever he had that made him lose weight. And it's just kind of thrown him off, right?
Yeah, it's just like I just want to wonder how many games we're gonna give him before we start throwing the red flag up of like, okay, what exactly is going on here, sort of thing. And then when Anton Roussel comes back, well, then that's another left winger that you're throwing on there along with Pearson.
Well, Ferland's been playing, I think, right wing, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think he can play either way.
Yeah, he plays both. So.
But yeah, that's just another player that's going to complicate things if his game doesn't start to get going, moving up. But yeah, that's just one thing just to keep an eye on Ferland's ice time going forward. Yeah, because if he's averaging like 10 minutes or less or whatever, that's for the contract that we gave him, that's not exactly good for him.
In all fairness, I've even though he's not playing a lot, Ferland is definitely an upgrade over a lot of the players we had on the team last year. So.
Oh yeah,
I'll take it. and there's going to be a time, like potentially this game against Washington, where he is called upon to play a bit more of a tough guy role, depending on what happens in that game. I mean, maybe because I don't think he likes Washington a whole lot from his Carolina days. He has some bad blood there, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. And talk about the Canucks fourth line too with Schaller, Beagle, and Mott. I think ever since Mott came back from injury, I know they just had the one bad game, but like the other 4 games they played together, they've been excellent. Beagle had that nice shorthanded goal against the Rangers, and Tim Schaller got his first goal last night. But yeah, that's the other guy that we got to bring up. Adam Gaudette has only played in 3 games, been a healthy scratch. I'm pretty sure now, like if he's not to be getting in the lineup here sooner, or pretty soon, that
they're gonna have to send him down to Utica to get some ice time for sure.
Yeah, because
I don't think it would hurt him at all. I mean, Utica's playing with so much confidence right now. That was another thing we wanted to talk about. Utica is now 5-0 after an 8-2 and a 7-1 back-to-back victory on the weekend. I mean, where do you start there? I mean, Goldobin and Barchi have brought a new element to that team. Reed Boucher is scoring at a crazy pace. Cole Lind and Jonah Gadjevich and Zach McEwen are all playing like they understand how to play pro hockey now. To me, they have 6 guys on defense that are all have some NHL experience at some degree, and they got Mikey DiPietro between the pipes along with Zane McIntyre, and they are rolling right now.
Yeah, 5-0 to start the season. They've outscored the opposition 29-11. At a scary, so that's a scary rate. Yeah, yeah. Reed Boucher,
And
second.
the goals are absolutely gorgeous too. Like they're not like chintzy goals; they are amazing goals. So
Oh yeah, like Reed Boucher, 8 goals in 5 games, 10 points is in sole possession second right now in the AHL. Godolphin's right behind him, a goal, 9 points in 4 games is sole possession of third. And he was named the AHL Player of the Week for his performance. I think he had back-to-back 3-point games.
it's funny, by the way, the guys that are all in and around them in scoring have played 8 games, and Goldobin's played 4, Boucher's played 5, Barchi's played 4. I mean, he's another guy I think has 8 points.
Yeah.
Cole Lind has played 5 games, 7 points. So they are really rolling offensively, and it's nice to know that the Canucks potentially, if they run into some injuries, they're going to have some depth this year. Like I think you mentioned to me before we came on air that Josh Tevez is a +12 as a defenseman down in Utica. I mean, him and Rafferty, I think, are NHL ready. I thought Rafferty he could have potentially made this team. One of the reasons why I think they moved Biega was because they know Rafferty's ready. And I think Rafferty and Tevez are actually even more ready than Fantenberg. But because Fantenberg has the NHL experience, they might as well just keep playing Rafferty and Tevez as much as they can to keep developing their game down in Utica.
Yeah, because he brought up, Tevez a +12 in 5 games. Only has the 1 assist, so the offensive side hasn't been there, but defensively he's been great. And then Rafferty, goal, 3 points, 5 games is a +8. So they've been outstanding down on the farm. Ole Olevi got a couple assists last game. He's now up to 3 assists in 5 games. The 1 assist he had to set Reed Boucher was like a 6 lap pass from his own blue line. Stretch pass to the far blue line to spring Boucher for a goal. That's something that I really like to see on the offensive side with him.
I think Bill Levy's just coming through off that injury too, so he's just getting going, getting his game back, and I'll be curious to see if he can stay healthy, what his season looks like this year, because I think he's going to be close as well. And the Canucks have a plethora of defensemen that are coming or that are getting close to being ready for the NHL, which is a great problem to have.
Oh yeah, it's just so nice to know that we have a bunch of great players or really good young players that we can call up and we know should be able to step into the NHL no problem. Which is nice because years past it's just been like, okay, we got Michael Chaput.
Yeah, but it's funny. Instead of calling up Michael Chaput or Jason Magna, we can call up Sven Barchi or Nikolai Goldobin this year, right? Like that's a big difference. Those are 2 guys that have played the last 2-3 years in the NHL full-time roles that are now they're still able to get ice time instead of being a healthy scratch or whatnot. And we'll see what the Canucks do because I mean I think I can actually see them call if there's injuries. I can see them calling those guys up and playing them over Louis Eriksson still. I think we've seen the last of Louis Eriksson. I don't know what they're going to do with him other than continue to make him the healthy scratch every night.
Yeah, well, I'm just happy they've made him a healthy scratch since the game 1. I'm just like, for Green to keep doing that, I props to Travis Green for keeping Louis Eriksson as a healthy scratch so far this season.
Well, and I can honestly see them. I can honestly say that if, let's say, the Canucks had 2 forwards that go down, I can see them putting Gaudette in the lineup and bringing up Barchi and putting him in the lineup and keeping Eriksson as a healthy scratch.
Oh yeah, I'd much rather have that than Eriksson to sort of stay up with the team. Because you want guys that deserve to be playing or at least up with the team. And usually if it's a healthy scratch, you'd rather have an NHL veteran than a younger guy. So, but yeah, I'm just pumped that he hasn't been playing at all. I think the only thing with Eriksson, like I thought they may have would have switched things up possibly going into that New York game just after the New Jersey game, but they held fast, they stuck with their lineup, and then they got back-to-back wins, which was really nice.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's just nice to know that if there are injuries, they have some depth players at both forward and defense and even goaltending that could, like Markstrom, he left on personal leave. Demko steps in and he's wearing Markstrom's pads and goalie mask, and nothing really changed, right? And they seem to be a team that has some depth for a change. which we haven't seen in a few years. And we've seen Detroit now twice, and they kind of remind us of the Canucks maybe 2-3 years ago, where they've got one line and no depth, and they're rebuilding. And I think as a Canucks fan, we were a little naive to see the lack of depth that we had at one point.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like I'm just happy because, like, especially with the goaltending, with the backup goaltending, is with Anders Nielsen the past couple of years not getting it done. Like Demko has a 9.43 save percentage in the 3 games that he's played, and Markstrom has a 9.33 save percentage in the 6 games he's played. So when you get goaltending like that, there's a rather high percentage mark that you're going to win those games when your goaltending is that strong.
Before you give us an update on your prospects as well, I have to know, is that Patrick Law on your hoodie?
Oh, no. It's just a random goalie from a hockey tournament.
You look at the shadow, it looks like Patrick Law. So,
but yeah, it is. It's just a random goalie silhouette on the hoodie.
It might be Patrick Law then.
Yeah. You never know, depending on who they molded it after. But yeah, just prospect-wise, just the 2 guys, or the 2 big guys that I'll circle in, or no, I should say 3 guys I'll circle in on. Vasily Podkolzin had a really nice goal in the VHL. I think 2 days ago, nice backhand upstairs. So he's up to 2 goals, 7 points in 11 games in the VHL, where that seems where he's been sticking of late. Tyler Madden scored his first 2 goals of the season in the NCAA. He has 2 goals in four games now. And with the Calgary Hitmen, Carson Falk has 7 goals and 13 points in 8 games. And there is still a high percentage chance that he could get invited to Canada's World Junior Camp.
Jet Wu on the Calgary Hitmen as well. He's a guy that I like to watch as, again, another defensive prospect that will probably play in Utica next year. But again, it just continues to add a lot of depth. And as you add those depth players, you start shipping out some of the other players out of there so that the Canucks prospects can keep, developing, and it's good to watch. So.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, Jet Wu has a goal, 4 points in 9 games with Calgary so far. But yeah, otherwise everybody else has been still pretty slow. William Lockwood only has a goal in 4 games. Niels Hoglander is still serving his suspension over in Sweden, so his stats are still the same. So everybody else has sort of been quiet of late, outside of all the guys down in Utica. But yeah, that's sort of the update. But yeah, otherwise just some cool stats that I got thrown out there. With the Canucks scoring 5 goals against the Detroit Red Wings in the 3rd period. Jeff Patterson looked up the last time the Canucks did that, scoring 5 goals in the 3rd period. And you got to go all the way back to April 15th, 1993 versus the Los Angeles Kings in an 8-6 win. Cliff Ronning had a hattie and 5 points in the 3rd period. Trevor Linden.
That would have been a playoff game, I believe.
Yeah, I think, because I don't know how late the season would have gone back then. But yeah,
back then would have ended around the end of March, beginning of April, and it's possible. I believe in '93 the Canucks lost in the first round to the LA Kings. So.
Okay, yeah. Because I was looking because it's he didn't specify.
It was the 2nd round they lost, because I believe Calgary and LA played one series together, and I remember every game being 10-8 in that series.
That is crazy. But yeah, Cliff Ronning had a hattie, 5 points in the 3rd period. Trevor Linden, goal, 3 points, and Jeff Courtnall also a goal, 3 points. And the Canucks limited Wayne Gretzky to a goal and 3 points in that game. So there's that. But yeah, so there's that. And then the last time the Canucks had a player score a hat trick in a 3rd period. It's only happened 3 other times. So Cliff Ronning, as I just mentioned. Marcus Naslund was the last to do it in 2002 versus the LA Kings. And the other was in 1995. Alexander McGinley scored a hattie against the Anaheim Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, or whatever, as they were called.
It would have been the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, I think, back then. But yeah, Mogilny, it's funny because you and I talked to you a little bit about the show, about watching Mogilny with Ronning on a line was so fun to watch. And the Ducks had Solani and Korea. And if I'm not mistaken, now that you bring it up, that he had 3 in that game. If it was in Vancouver and they won I believe they would have won 3-2. I was at that game. Mogilny had all 3 goals. Solani and Korea 1 goal each for the Ducks. and it was a fantastic game to watch. So
Oh man, with all that talent, I wouldn't mind to be there. I'm actually going to the game.
back when Andy McDonald was the center of Solani in Korea.
Oh man, Andy McDonald. There's that, and then yeah, because I remember they had like Steve Ruchin before that. I think that was like when they went to the Cup Finals in '03. I want to say against the Devils. I'm pretty sure Ruchin was their center, if I remember correctly.
I believe Adam Oates was.
Or Adam Oates. Okay, I think Ruchin might have been on the team.
Rushin was on the team 100% though. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, there's that. But also the big accomplishment. Bo Horvat scored his 100th career goal in that game against the Rangers. He became only the fourth player from his draft class in 2003 to reach 100 goals. The only other three, Sean Monahan, who leads the way, Nathan McKinnon, and Alexander Barkov are the only others to accomplish that mark so far. So pretty good draft pick for giving up Corey Schneider to draft Bo Horvat. But yeah,
at the time, and I liked it at the time, but of course, only time would tell if that was going to work out. And Schneider's still a great goalie. He just has hopefully gets through all those injuries he's been battling because he's a heck of a goalie when he's healthy and on his game.
Yeah, we'll see. Especially with New Jersey, with they got the back-to-back wins now, that maybe they can start to get on a bit of a roll moving forward. But yeah, otherwise the Canucks have a 2-game homestand coming up. They don't play till Friday against Washington, and then on Monday they play the Florida Panthers. I will be at that Monday game against Florida, so we'll see. At least I get to see one of my favorite goalies in Sergei Bobrovsky and one of the brightest stars in Alexander Barkov. Coming up here. So, but yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see or get my first my first live game this season to see how these Canucks have been going so far. Then after that, as I brought up, once when November comes, we're gonna figure out where exactly this team sits with 11 road games coming up after the 2-game homestand. So, but yeah, at least all the games have been exciting to watch. Minus, I guess, that New Jersey game, which was a little frustrating, but they still had some chances. But at least every game's been exciting so far this season.
Well, that's going to wrap up today's show. We'll be back on Friday with our Around the NHL segment. Again, we thank you, everyone, for great support and for listening to our show. We really appreciate it. So wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's in Russia, in Europe, in St. Louis, New York, or anywhere around the world, remember to like and share, especially share this content if you like what we've done. Share some of the highlights that Matt posts all the time on our Facebook page. We see a lot of them getting lots of views each and every time. I think our record's 90,000 views for one of our posts.
Yeah, we had the
Is it the Ovechkin punch on Svechnikov? I think that was the one that has the most views still. So
yeah. It's between that or the Tarasenko at the parade. I think it was one of those two. But yeah.
We had a few that got up close to 6 figures. So so continue to share our stuff, guys. Remember to like our page so that you can get all of our content. And we will be back on Friday. So have a great few days. Only a few days in the 2 games in the NHL tonight, and of course 10 tomorrow. So. We'll be back on track. So see you guys on Friday. Have an excellent night.